I don't mean to sound like this is an AA meeting, but hi, my name is Tom Padgett. I'm a recovering Scientology victim. And that's by the way, that's a true statement. Why I'm here is on my behalf and my children, and when I listened to this lady's story, my heart bled when she talked about her children and not being with them, because that is my situation. And certainly, I can pass this around as a picture of my children, but I'll let her see that. She can share my pain in my heart. I'm too also a victim of isolation processing by Scientologists. In Scientology, they believe if you don't understand a word, it's called an MU. So on an MU, you look it up in a dictionary. It's pretty basic stuff that we learn. So go to any dictionary, look up the word isolate. Number 1, to set apart from a group or a whole. 2, to place in quarantine. 3, an uncombined form. 4, to render free of external influences. 5, to insulate and separate. That's not a Scientology dictionary, that's just a Webster's 2. The 3 most joyous days of my life were in January of 1980 when my precious daughter was born, in September of 1984 when my son was born, and in September of 1987 when I left the Scientology group for good. That's not to belittle or belie any special dates of my marriage, which has now failed. My wife is still in Scientology. Winning sporting events, graduation from college, major promotions or achievements in work, meeting famous people, winning awards in my once successful career, finding love or relationship, those kinds of things. These were all special too. Rather than read, for an interest of time, my story of my personal family, there is an internet page posting in your press kit of what my story is. There are many forms of isolation that are equally destructive. I think what you've heard today is the most clinical form, especially in the case of Lisa. There's soft isolation and hard isolation. But like, I mean, you could say there's soft porn and hard porn too, but isolation comes in many forms, shapes, and sizes and colors. They are purposely intended to hide, to twist, or pervert the truth from unsuspecting and genuine inquiry into what's their real motives, the motives of the Church of Scientology. Bad news or facts in Scientology are referred to as M theta, a way to label something as potentially upsetting to the Scientologist or the inquiring public, like the media yourselves, to keep the mind and the thinking controlled and from fact and truth. Truth to Scientology is like water was to the Wicked Witch of the North and the Wizard of Oz. Truth to Scientology is like kryptonite was to Superman. Truth to Scientology is like the Allied forces in 1940s Europe was to Adolf Hitler. Truth in Scientology is not only an illusion, it's a painful ordeal for them, and they must fight it to death. One of my favorite books in Scientology is their Ethics Handbook. And in here, if I may just quote one thing, is the doubt formula. Number 3, decide on the basis of the greatest good for the greatest number of dynamics whether it should be attacked, harmed, or suppressed. It's basic English. Other pages in that book go on to state how to handle a PTS, a potential trouble source, of which I've been declared. 2 types of people on page 143. How to disconnect people, family members, children, parents. And worst of all is on page 205, where they quote a high crime. It's a high crime to publicly depart Scientology. Therefore, today, these people here speaking out are committing a high crime. Not in the statutes of Florida or the United States of America that I'm aware of, but at least Scientologists. My first experience with isolation was in 1987 when I was complaining about being regged, which means being sold, for more and more services, asking me to second mortgage my home cash in my kids' college savings, guilt trips for buying new cars or a boat. They attempted to move me from the big Washington, D.C. org, which is the founding church, to a smaller celebrity center in our nation's capital. I first thought this was privileged of me, but later I found out it was a soft sell, since I was making a larger than usual hefty income, and most of their public was also influential in a business community there. I was being isolated. Secondly, for years, I had a subscription to Time magazine, and unknowingly, my ex-wife, still in Scientology, my wife at that time, hid that Time magazine article from me, which was May 6, 1991, The Cult of Greed. Instead, she gave me this book, which is a form of isolation to the public, called Fact or Fiction, which was published by Scientology, which is, I've never seen such garbage in my life. Our marriage soon failed, but I did want to find out. I got a hold of that article, and it scared me. It startled me. I couldn't believe that this was happening to my family. My kids were taken from me, moved to a small town in Kentucky, where her family knows the judge, and if you can imagine me being from New England and not speaking their language, it was very tough. The jurisdiction that reminded me of my cousin Vinny. But this has to do with children. And when they publish books out called Child Dianetics, Processing of Children, and you want your children processed, and if any of you report Scientology as a church or a religion, and you're reluctant to use the word cult, please note in one of their books, their definition of psychology, a cult which rose and expired in the first half of the 20th century. So if they can refer to psychology as a cult, you certainly can refer to them. Actually, we're on a time roll here, but the stories that you hear today is real. They've happened to me. I've been attacked, I've been burglarized, I've been vandalized, I've had my career attacked, I've been disconnected from my children, I've been spied on, and I have hard and solid proof on any of this. And I guess if I may just go over just a few seconds, there was an article recently in Time magazine that scares me. It's a form of isolation. This goes back to September 22nd, where it's an article about how smooth our president is, Bill Clinton, and that's a picture of Bill and myself. That predates my problems with Scientology. But the article goes on to say that he was talking to John Travolta and wanted to meet him, and John Travolta approached the president and wanted to help him out with the problem in your fair country about Scientology being attacked. And I mean, all I can say is if he thinks Whitewater, or he thinks Jennifer Jones, or he thinks campaign funds are annoying him and politically not the best thing for him, if he was to associate himself with this organization in helping Germany out, that would be certainly the death of, I've seen it happen to me, I've seen it happen to the family. It's a scary organization. Believe what these people are saying. I'm here also because Lisa McPherson cannot speak from her grave, and there's some of us who can speak on her behalf. Thank you.